Hi there, my name is Matti Sulanto. In this video I'm gonna take a look at the Olympus M.Zuiko 12 to 40mm f2.8 zoom lens. This is so-called standard zoom lens, and the range covers everything from 12mm wide angle to a 40mm short telephoto, and the maximum aperture is f2.8. This lens came out in September 2013 together with the original Olympus EM1 camera body, and it was also offered as a kit with that camera. And this is also the first Olympus Pro series lens. Now it's mounted on my Lumix G90. So this is a 6-year-old design, and I wanted to see if this is still a valid choice for a Micro Four Thirds user. But I have another reason as well. See, this lens is actually mine, and I had already almost forgotten that I even have this lens. And that may sound a bit strange, and it's a kind of a long story, but I'll make it very short here. About 2.5 years ago, we were selling our house, and at the same time we wanted to get rid of almost all the other stuff too. We wanted to simplify our lives a bit with my wife. And I also had some camera gear, including this lens and some other stuff that I didn't need at the time, but I didn't want to sell them either. And back then I also had a friend who needed a camera for some project, but he was kind of broke, couldn't afford to buy a camera, and I gave him this lens and another lens and an old Micro Four Thirds camera body that I didn't need. And we agreed that he can use them, but if someday I want them back, I'll get them back. And quite recently the camera body that I gave him, it died. And it's beyond repair, and it's too old anyway, and it doesn't matter. But he gave me this and the other lens back. And now, after almost 3 years, I wanted to try this lens and see how it feels after such a long break. Like I said, this was the first Olympus Pro series lens. And you can certainly feel it when you handle the lens. The build quality feels premium and pro grade. The exterior materials are plastic and metal, and the zoom and focus ring both feel very smooth. And there's only very minimal free play when the lens is fully extended. And this lens has seen some use. So I guess it also proves that this lens can take some use and abuse. It is a small annoyance though that the zoom ring direction is not the same as on Lumix lenses. And I think it would have been really cool if Panasonic and Olympus could have agreed on some of these minor details early on. Now I think it's a bit too late because there are already so many lenses out there. And of course this is dust, splash and freeze-proof design. And unusually for Olympus this comes with a lens hood. Most Olympus lenses don't include the hood, which I think is a bad choice. From Olympus's part, I think every lens should come with a lens hood because it's such an important part or important accessory on any lens. Also worth mentioning is the function button on the lens, which is fully functional also when the lens is mounted on a Lumix camera body, and you can reprogram the button to your liking when you go into the camera menu. And the weather sealing was really needed when I was out there using this lens. It's been really rainy for the last several days here in Helsinki. And here are some of the pictures some of the rainy pictures that I shot on this lens. And at this point I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and activate the bell right there so you'll get a notification every time I post a new video, and I usually post on Tuesdays and on Fridays. And now back to the lens. This is not the smallest Micro Four Thirds lens, but considering the versatile zoom range and the constant f2.8 maximum aperture, I'd say the size is pretty reasonable. This is about the same size as the Panasonic Leica 12 to 60 mm lens. This weighs in at about 400 grams and the filter thread is 62 mm. This lens extends quite a bit when zoomed into 40 mm. Then it's at its shortest at around 17 mm, and again when zoomed out to 12 mm it extends a few millimeters. When mounted on the Lumix G90 and also on the G9, this lens feels very balanced and not front heavy, and very comfortable to hold and use. It feels just about the right size actually, and the right weight also. The optical construction is quite complex. There are 14 elements in 9 groups inside of this lens, and including several different glass types and one aspherical element. There's no optical stabilizer, but it's not a problem even with the Lumix cameras or when mounted on a Lumix camera body, because most recent Lumix cameras have a very effective in-body stabilizer. The optical qualities of this lens are quite nice. The sharpness and contrast are really good pretty much at every aperture throughout the whole zoom range. Of course, the diffraction starts to soften the image from about f5.6, but still, in my opinion, even f8 or f11 are usable if you need all that depth of field for some reason. The autofocus is really reliable and very fast, but I think that some of the latest Micro Four Thirds lenses focus even faster than this. And don't get me wrong, I didn't say this or the autofocusing speed of this lens is slow. I'm just saying that some of the latest lenses feel a little bit faster than this. And when you think about it, this is already a 6-year-old design. So I think there must have been some development also with the autofocus speed in 6 years. And if you prefer to focus manually, there is Olympus's excellent manual focus clutch, which reveals a proper focusing scale and proper hard stops also at both ends of the focusing scale. It's a very nice feature. And fortunately, the focusing ring direction is the same as on Lumix lenses. And I think this is much more important than the zoom ring direction. The close focusing properties of this lens are really nice. The minimum focusing distance is 20 centimeters and it's measured from the sensor, of course, and when zoomed in all the way to 40 millimeters, this is almost like a macro lens. So if you need some occasional close-ups of some quite small objects even, this lens probably can deliver. And let's check out a few more pictures that I shot on this lens, but these are from 2014. So what do I think about this lens now that I got it back from my friend, and I've been using it a bit now after a 3-year long break? I still think this is a good option if you're looking for a standard zoom lens for your Micro Four Thirds camera. The build quality is really solid and pro grade, it's weather sealed, the optical quality is great, so what's there not to like? The price of this lens right now seems to be around 800 euros or US dollars. So also that is quite reasonable, I think. And because this is already a 6-year-old design, there's a good chance you can find it second-hand for even better price. Some of the alternatives are, of course, the Panasonic Leica 12 to 60 mm, which is quite a bit longer at the long end, but the fastest maximum aperture is only f4 at the long end. And another alternative could be the Lumix 12 to 35 mm f2.8, which is a lot smaller than this and also lighter, and it also has optical stabilizer, which makes it more stable when mounted on a Lumix camera body because of the dual IS. But all in all, I would say this is a great lens and one more option for you to choose. And this also shows the versatility and the uniqueness of the Micro Four Thirds system. There are two manufacturers committed to this, and they both make great lenses and cameras for us to use. So that's it, my opinion on the M.Zuiko 12 to 40 mm f2.8 lens. Here are a couple of other videos you may want to check out before you go out and make some more great photos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.